We'll get to the details of the story in just a moment, but I want to give you an overview to get started. There is a Catholic couple in the state of Indiana, and their son was taken away from them because they would not use the pronouns that their son wanted them to use, which are feminine. In other words, it was a case of gender identity, and the Catholic couple said, "We're not going along with this." That's basically the gist of the story. So what are the specifics? Let's take a look at this. First of all, it's a Catholic couple in the state of Indiana. That's significant. Indiana is a bright red state. The governor is a Republican. Both chambers of the houses of Congress are Republican. That means that all the government, all the agencies, the bureaucracies are controlled by Republicans. And this is happening in a Republican state. Now, if it could happen in Indiana, it certainly is going to happen in blue states, but it could happen anywhere. Secondly, the couple's name, Mary and Jeremy Cox, argue that Indiana violated their rights based on religious beliefs. Well, obviously that's true, but and obviously the state didn't see it that way. Number 3, investigation found no abuse. That's important. An investigation found no abuse, but it emphasized distress over disagreement on gender identity. This is the Indiana Department of Child Services. And again, that is a bureau or bureaucracy, that is an agency that is controlled by the, by the representative government, which is Republican. Cox's son, this is the fourth thing we want to bring up, and that is that Cox's son identified as a girl in 2019. But the parents adhered to their Catholic beliefs on immutable, that means unchangeable, obviously, sex. Number 5, Indiana officials initiated an investigation in 2021, and they removed the child from Cox's custody. In other words, they ripped the kid out of their home. I think is a more appropriate way to say it, but as I was reading through these articles, I could never discover how old this child was. None of the reporters seemed to know, or they didn't want to tell us. Coxes seek therapeutic care for their son's mental health conditions, or I should say sought mental health therapeutic care for their son's mental health conditions, including an eating disorder. So from that we learn that the son has apparently some kind of mental health disorders that required treatment. So we could understand then how this gender identity confusion could come out of that. The next thing we understand, number 7, is despite fit parent determination, the court upheld the child's removal, affirmed by an appeals court. So you've got a court that made the decision, these are good parents, but you got to use the pronoun. So they took it and they appealed. And the appeals court agreed with the lower court. In Indiana, number 6, Cox's legal representatives emphasizing infringement of parental rights, and religious rights. We mentioned earlier religious rights, but it's also a matter of parental rights. Number 9, Coxes express hope for Supreme Court intervention to prevent similar situations. I'm assuming it's the state Supreme Court. But again, the news reports didn't say if it was the United States Supreme Court or the state Supreme Court. And finally, Lori Wyndham highlights broader implications for parental rights and religious freedom. Lori Wyndham, I assume, is their legal representative. A lot of things these news stories left out. I don't know if it's sloppy reporting, oversight on my part, or if they just didn't know. So they didn't put it in the story. So what do we take away from this? Well, the first thing that I see in these gender confusion situations, all of them across the board, is this was a non-issue until just a few years ago. Now, when I say it was a non-issue, I mean throughout all of human history. You go back hundreds of thousands of years, there has never been a situation that I recall where there has been any controversy of any kind over gender confusion or gender identification. It's as if the woke left made this up out of nothing. Just out of thin air, whole cloth, however you want to say it. They just made it up because the woke left is rooted in Marxism. I'm sure you probably already know that. And Marxism is all about class struggle. This group versus this group. That is to say, the proletariat versus the controlling class. And they're always looking for victims. They're always looking for a victim class. And it's as if they said, well, here's a victim class we can use to our advantage. We can manipulate. Well, how are they manipulating? Gender identity confusion. I got to throw this in parenthetically because it's important. Identity confusion is a key component of thought reform. So this is perfect for Marxists. So if you don't know who you are, I can make you, or anybody can make you into just about anything they want you to be. In fact, if you were to join a cult, first thing they do, and one of the ways you know you're in a cult, is they try to change your sense of identity. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you believe. And so it appears that the woke left, particularly in government schools, are trying to confuse the identity of children through gender identity confusion. Then they can remold them and remake them. The saying is, first you melt them, and then you remold them, and then you refreeze them in the new mold. And that's effectively what they're doing. So gender identity confusion is now giving the woke left through government. And again, if they can do it in a red state, I've said that twice before, but if they can do it in a red state, they can do it anywhere, with an excuse to destroy families. And the woke left absolutely hates traditional families because they run contrary to the concepts advocated by, in my opinion, Marxism. They don't like families. Families are competition. They see one big lump of society and these little components of society called families, even though they are socially beneficial to society. Marxists don't care about that because, in a sense, they are members of Marxism, are part of, well, a religion, the woke religion. So it's a dangerous precedent. And if the government can get away doing it with something as insane as gender identity, and when I say get away with it, I mean get away with destroying families. They get away with just about anything. Now stop and think about this. When gender identity confusion is implemented as a moral priority, what that does is it gives rather the woke left an excuse to screen out patriots, conservatives, Christians, anyone they disagree with from just about anything. It's a moral imperative. You have to accept their pronouns. You have to. And if you don't, you can't get a job here. What does that do? Well, it screens out all the conservatives, the patriots, the rational people, the people who can't be misled by the woke left. Can't get a job here. Same thing, enrollment in a school. You want to get higher education, if that even still exists in the United States? Well, one of the qualifications is you need to believe in gender confusion. You need to believe that you can be whatever gender you want to be. And if you don't believe that, well, we can't have you in our school because you're a bigot. And, there's nothing worse than a bigot. They make up these hate terms, and the thing is, it actually works. People are bullied and intimidated. And we have this thing where we want to be a part of what is the accepted milieu, the accepted viewpoint of the majority, and so we cave in. Well, I haven't, but a lot of people did, and this couple, Mary and Jeremy Cox, obviously have not caved in. So what we see here, this is just my opinion. I'd like to know what your opinion is, if you agree or disagree. But the woke left behaves like a religion. It's an ideology, but it behaves much like a religion. Do they have places of worship? Well, sort of, kind of in government schools have become their places of worship. Do they have a holy text, like the Bible or the Quran? Well, they got Das Kapital, Karl Marx, they've got that. Do they have commandments, rules? Yeah, this is one of them. This is kind of a new rule. Again, it hasn't hundreds of thousands of years of human history, unless you're a creationist, and it's 6,000, whatever. But all the thousands of years of human history, this has never, ever been an issue, but they came up with a new tenet, a new commandment, and that commandment is thou shalt use whatever pronoun somebody wants to use. Makes absolutely, positively no sense. You can't, I've said this in other videos, but you can't cut off an elephant's trunk and say it's not an elephant. Well, I mean, you can. If you're woke left, you can do it, and you can expect everyone else to agree with you. But if you cut off an elephant's trunk, it's still an elephant. And if you surgically adapt an elephant to have antlers, it's not a reindeer, it's still an elephant. It just has no trunk and antlers surgically applied. And you can even dress it up like a reindeer. I don't know how reindeers dress. I think they have like a red nose or something. But it's still an elephant. And the same thing is true of any male on Earth, humans or otherwise. It's your chromosome. And for the woke left to just insist that we have to deny reality, and that's another key component. If we fall for this, and we are falling for this, I mean, you and I maybe not, but if we, meaning people in general, fall for this, when it's obviously not true, man, we'll fall for just about anything they feed us as long as we're bullied and cajoled into accepting it. If you got something out of this video, you can join our family by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you think it deserved it. Whatever you want to say, we have a comment section. And keep in mind, this is a new channel. We have very few subscribers, very few viewers. What that means is I can read all of the comments, and I usually respond to all of the comments, so feel free to leave a comment. Something you can do to help us grow, by the way, is share this video while you're thinking of it right now on social media. And we'll see y'all next time.